So in order to find the things that you believe to be true at the very core of this personality that you think you are, we've got to go deep, really, really, really deep. And the most effective way I've seen in doing that is through the work that we do. Because it's systematically, if you are committed to it, I have to say that, you don't sit down and do this work once every 2 weeks and think it's going to make a huge, huge impact in a very short amount of time, right? It takes a commitment, and you have to, put the onus on yourself to be responsible enough to step up and do your work. But if you do it, there's nothing else I've seen that can, as quickly as this, move you from a space where you literally are barely even conscious to a space where you're conscious more often than you're not. And what an amazing thing that is. I mean, just that. And I think people don't give themselves enough credit for that. You don't have to necessarily experience full-on enlightenment to be conscious, right? And conscious is a great thing. Even if you're still struggling in the space of what these stories are and getting underneath why you're still attached to the point where, how do you know you're attached? Because it keeps coming up in your world and you keep falling for it. That's how you know you're attached. If it's coming up in your world and doesn't mean anything to you anymore, the work's done, at least with that particular aspect, right? But if it's still coming up in different, the names change, the forms change, right? But the same underlying story keeps coming up and it keeps getting your goat, you're still attached. Obviously, you're attached at a level that you haven't uncovered yet, or it wouldn't just keep coming back. So that's okay. Does it make you a failure that you haven't seen to the very depth of it yet? No, not at all. I mean, look at the capacity you have now to at least see that it's still running. And did you have that 5 years ago? Did you have that 2 months ago? Who knows? Either way, you're a success in that. There's growth there. There's forward momentum. Positive evolution, right? There's things to feel very good about. And I know that this journey is challenging. It's very challenging. We're not, the thing is, like, the work that we do is not just to sit with your teacher and have your teacher talk to you about the eternal, which I could do, like at our intensive I did. I talked more at that level. It wasn't at a personal level. It was beyond that. And that's beautiful. And the energy comes, and the energy is gorgeous. And people sit in that energy, and it does impact their consciousness, and there's shifting that takes place, and it's awesome, right? But then you go home, and then what? You leave the ashram, you go home, you hold your center, for 2 weeks because you're blissed out. And then inevitably, what has to happen? We live in a polarized world. What goes up must come down. Is it any weird thing that people would go to an intensive of mine and go home and within a day or two just, No, of course not. Of course not. What goes up must come down, right? The whole point, though, is to just hold your equanimity in the middle of it, because you're not the up and you're not the down. You're not any of it. It's easy to attach ourselves to the up, right? We want to be there. We want to be blissed out. Who doesn't want to sit in samadhi all the time, right? Who doesn't aspire to go into meditation and reach samadhi? Well, everybody does. And anyone who's had just the slightest glimpse of the feeling of that, the energetic feeling of that, I mean, that's seductive. It grabs you and you're like, oh, like it was just the most amazing feeling. You know, I always say, like, take sex and expand it, you know, right? There's just nothing that can touch that. Well, so what does the mind do with that? Oh, I need that again. I need that again. I need that again. And so how are you any different from a sex addict at that point? You understand? What the Buddha was saying, right? And what Krishna was saying in the Gita is, let go of all of it, because you're not any of it. If you're going to say, I want that experience, if you're going to chase after that experience, if you're going to chase happy, like I like to say, the only thing that shows you is that you believe the whole thing to be real. If you're chasing happy, you believe this is real. What's going to show you that it's not? What shows you that it's not? Could be years and years of very deep meditation. Absolutely. It could be complete and utter surrender to the divine from the space of full-on devotion. Absolutely. Those both are, you know, generally speaking, kind of longer durations to get to the spot that I'm trying to show people you can get to a little quicker by utilizing the faculty that you have for reason. How do you see that it's not real? Well, it's simple. You're given an understanding of what this is. You're given an understanding of how you continue to perpetuate it. And not just you, everyone. And you're given an understanding that you and everyone is singular. One mind. Right? Everyone not everyone. Most people out there at this point seem to have at least heard like the understanding that God is in everyone, everything, right? Okay, so that's up here. And I'm going to say, take it to this level, and it's the same thing. The lower mind is in everyone and everything, all right? It is, there's only one, just like there's God in everything, and I'm saying to you, the lower mind is the personal self in everyone. The same exact program, no different. No different. So you follow the same parameters of the program. Maybe some pieces of the programming are a little different because it makes you look a little different than the person next to you. Not just physically, but even in your life experience, it'll make you look a little different, right? Little tweaks to the program, but the basis of the program is the same for everyone. Everyone. So you're given that understanding. And then you have the opportunity to take those understandings and apply them and start looking and watching and observing. You observe what's going on around you in the world. You observe things you watch on TV. You observe relationships you see at the grocery store, right? You observe the relationships between your children. You observe yourself and how you relate to others, yourself and how you relate to yourself. You observe things that happened in your past, how you related to your parents, your siblings, and on and on and on. And you observe all of it. And at the end of the day, what you see is priceless, because what you see is that it was never you. It was never you. All of the strife and all of the suffering. It was a program. It was a program. Oh, wow. Now, do you have something to work with to get you that much closer to a place where you can surrender?